This program is sponsored in part by the National Catholic Society of Foresters. Hello again and welcome to Looking at Social Justice. I'm Jim Grant and it's my pleasure again to have two interesting guests. About a month ago, we had the joy of interviewing Dolores Huerta, and she was fresh from an arrest. That was not unique in her life, but it was a great moment that we shared being there, defending and hoping to work for SEIU 2015 and their challenge with the Board of Supervisors of the County of Fresno. Well, having that show with Dolores made me become much more aware of the Dolores Huerta Foundation, and I've met since then the local, some local leaders who are working in the Dolores Huerta Foundation. Our two guests today, well, originally, one of them comes from LA originally, but Moises Hernandez is engaged right now here in the Valley working on civic engagement with the foundation. Graduated from Fresno State, has a humanics certificate from that great university, and he's going to be helping us understand a lot about the local work of the foundation. Now, partnering with him is Fabián Arizaga, who happens to come from further away originally from Mexico, lived in Europe, has studied around the world, studied also at San Francisco State University, graduated there, and has much to bring to the commitment of a foundation helping people become aware of their rights and what it is that here in the Valley, and I'm so glad you came back from where you were to be here with us. So why don't we begin by, I guess, Moises and Fabián, as you'd wish, reintroduce us a little bit to the Dolores Huerta Foundation, a little bit about its history and its advocacy role, something about Census 2020. You're on. Moises, start us off.
Well, thank you, Jim, for having us on your show. Your introduction kind of, introduces people about myself. I've been with the foundation for 5 months. Before that, I was doing political work, and I've moved on to now the advocacy work, and Dolores Huerta Foundation is a great place to do that kind of work if you have a passion to serve the community. And I definitely have that passion coming from a migrant family. The work that they do in the rural communities that has a lot of immigrants and people that have a similar background to mine is kind of an honor to be doing that kind of work, and then working alongside Dolores Huerta. I mean, she's a living icon right now, and it's just a pleasure to know her, to be able to talk to her, and we have to take advantage of her, that she's still with us.
What brings you, Fabián, to be interested in the work of the foundation?
Well, I think Dolores Huerta started in college. I started reading about her in the social justice classes and the Latinas classes, and in Women's and Gender Studies. That's where I started learning about Dolores Huerta Foundation. And then after coming from Spain, I had the opportunity to volunteer in several organizations, and I became a Vecinos Unidos member, where I started coming and participating in their meetings, and then after that I became a full-time employee with Dolores Huerta Foundation.
We're so glad that you're both here. I was enjoying visiting your little headquarters in Sanger, where you do have an office. Nice. And then we had a wonderful lunch that was like really awesome. Met the rest of your staff. So we're really glad to give you a platform to talk about the foundation and your work. So regarding the foundation, is there anything you wanted to tell us briefly about its history, anything about the Puffin Nation Prize for Creative Citizenship, its mission that this foundation has, or more about Vecinos Unidos, which is what you've been connected with, Fabián.
Yeah.
So who wants to tell us more about the organization, its mission, and what you're doing about it?
Yeah, well, the Puffin Nation Prize was the initial startup for the foundation. Dolores Huerta in 2002 was awarded a no strings attached kind of grant for her years-long work in
Nice.
social justice, giving back to the community. She sacrificed a lot to for her commitment and passion to serve the community, and that organization recognized that, and in typical Dolores Huerta fashion, she used the money she received to start the foundation, and since then she's been doing the work. She's been doing work initially in Kern County, but over the years been moving up more northern of the San Joaquin Valley. Fresno County is the northernmost point that she's doing advocacy work. But that was the startup. It was a prize awarded to Dolores, and she used that money to start the foundation.
You have a staff with you in Sanger, and also we have some images that might be able to remind us of where you are, who are part of your team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the people you work with in this enterprise of bringing Dolores' vision right here to Fresno County and Tulare County and Kern County. So maybe a picture or two might help.
So that that picture is basically all the organizers in Dolores Huerta. You have their organizers who have been doing their work for over a decade, and the younger crowd, I'd say that are summer fellows. They were recruited over the summer to initially start neighborhood committees, and some of them have evolved into chapters. But these were all college students coming from very diverse backgrounds. People coming, like Fabián, who studied in Spain. Students that are doing policy work in Sacramento. Then came home for the summer. Applied for the summer fellowship, and they provided their own expertise. We have summer fellows who have gone to prestigious schools like Yale, that are working out for the foundation. We have lawyers on staff who have worked under Kamala Harris when she was Attorney General here or I think when she was District Attorney in San Francisco, that individual worked under Kamala Harris. So they have their very own unique expertise that they all bring, and we're a very bright group of individuals who I guess are honoring Dolores Huerta and her work by assisting her, and in a way us kind of helping our communities. Some of us who have family that lives there or just came from there as well. Yeah.
And then there'd be people that are more, let's say you've got a smaller group. Is this your local team?
This would be the summer fellows. So this is just the students who were recruited, and not all of them are students, but recent graduates, and they all became summer fellows. But they've all evolved into now just like neighborhood committee captains and coordinators, and helping the foundation do the census work and other advocacy work we're going to be doing for this year and the upcoming year. And this is all us, just doing the Si Se Puede sign. This was I guess our initial meeting where we all met each other, because we had the northern team and the southern team did not really get to had met each other or knew each other, and this was our initial meetup. There was a training that was done, and I think Fabián he took part in it, and he was actually trained under Dolores Huerta, and that was an intensive 2-week endeavor.
Tell us about your formation, Fabián.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to follow up. Yes, I think coming into this team, it was very obvious that we were all from different backgrounds. And that's a beautiful thing about this foundation, that there's students who just started college. Myself, that I went to grad school. We had a couple of them that we had a lawyer. I mean, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So coming into this space where we're learning and deconstructing what it means to be to do civic engagement and to talk to the community about the census, and to have Dolores right next to us was, she opened my eyes to a lot of things, and obviously working with her, it's a privilege in the first place. And having her right next to us and teaching us from scratch and deconstructing everything, it was very intense, but I got to learn. She's definitely knows what she's doing. She has lots of experience, and every day was a challenge, but I think we all learned a lot about what it means to go back into our communities and try to inspire others. So she does an amazing job with that. Yes.
Yeah. And we've been having to be around her for a lot of the work that we're doing, and the picture that was had just passed before. She has, after she's an icon, and people recognize her that, and that photo, she's signing the newspaper that features her
Yes.
from the SCIU protest.
Yeah.
And actually at that event, me and Fabián were present, and this was towards the end of the event. She had just come in there just to speak. She was a guest speaker, and her plan was to leave right after, but she was trapped by a line of people that had the newspaper with them and asking her to sign it. And she ended up staying there longer than me and Fabián. I think we couldn't muster the energy to stay there longer. But so you could just totally see she's very well loved and respected, and everywhere we go, people want to get a picture with Dolores, or get her to sign newspaper or anything.
Yeah. She definitely has an energy. I admire her for that, because she takes the time to get to know all of us, and she helps, and she knows when to jump in and help us, and I think having her and know that she's participating in that community, and she carries with her so much energy. Myself, who's younger than her, I feel like it's really hard to keep up with her, and I don't understand where she's get all this strength, but it's very inspiring for sure. Yes.
The mission, I'll just read it so everyone will know, to inspire and organize communities to build volunteer organizations empowered to pursue social justice. So that's the basic mission of your foundation. So how would it be that these Vecinos Unidos, how are they examples of how that's happening? You want to address that project of those 10 chapters?
So the Vecinos Unidos, the individuals who become members, they're the ones that have an interest in their community. They're the ones that know what the problems are, the needs are. They're the ones that have the relationships with the local people. So the method is to organize vecinos in those communities, who would later then organize their neighborhoods to do the advocacy work. When you have a need and you're gonna go you want to address it to your representative or elected official, they want to hear from the people in those communities. It doesn't make that's gonna carry the most weight. They want to hear, they want to see that the people in those communities really are demanding for this. And because we're working in communities that are rural, low income, a lot of them are English deficient, they don't speak it that well. It's hard for them to organize, to know where to go if they have this need in the community. And that's where the Vecino chapters come into handy. That's where our organizers come in handy, and they assist those vecinos to learn how to advocate properly, along with the resources that we provide. Since we started the summer fellowship program, there's already been 2 new chapters that have been formed. One in the Antelope Valley area down south, it's the Palmdale chapter, and in Fresno County we have a new chapter in the unincorporated city of Carruthers.
Nice. The second part we wanted to look at would be with Fabián especially, so the city of Tulare, and to discuss for us, because that's partly the center of our own diocese, is Tulare County in Tulare. Tell us a little bit about the new office, the building relationships with these local organizations that you need to do, and the outreaching that you're doing in the whole county. How's that going?
I mean, it's been a learning experience. I think every day coming into a city that it's new to me, it's been a good challenge because I'm kind of learning about, first of all, getting to know the people in the community, reaching out to directors, people that have guidance in this community. It's been a little bit complicated, and I think complicated in a good way. I think coming from big cities and coming to a smaller city, to me, it's the weight is very visible. Obviously, I'm coming with very fresh perspectives about what it means to live and the necessities of a city, and so having to talk to people that actually live in these communities and listening to their concerns has been very interesting to me. Obviously, we talked about some of the issues that they see, because as an outsider, it would be very difficult for me to come,
For sure. What might be some of the issues that are really weighing on your communities there in Tulare? What are the big ones?
Right. I think when I came in, first thing, we went to downtown, which is very beautiful, obviously, where the majority of an outsider would kind of go on. And so the more I explored the city, the more I saw that there was a lot of things that were needed. And obviously talking to the Vecinos Unidos, members would, they would confirm, like some of them would say security, there was no park for the kids. I mean, the streets, obviously. Another thing that was that they were asking was more programs for students. But I'm definitely, trying to reach out to other nonprofits who are also doing great work in Visalia and Tulare. I have, partner up with the Rooks Agency, and we're actually having a great concert where we're going to be reaching out to people in Visalia and Tulare. And this is happening September 29 at the Royal Stadium.
And what will you be doing there?
We're just going to try to reach out to anyone that we can to talk about the census and try to tell them the impact that the positive things that would bring into these communities.
When Dolores was here, she did talk about the census, and I want to use this moment to remind all of our viewers and listeners that in the last 2 issues of Central California Catholic Life, we have in the July issue Bishop's letter urging us to definitely participate. Then in the September issue, I follow up on what Bishop said and gave some proposals of how people could get involved. All of that, I will admit, very pleasing to Dolores, who did say wants to connect with the diocese over the census. Do you see concrete ways, either of you, both of you, that the diocese could be a good partner in your outreach for the census?
Well, we need to get the word out. We need to dispel any fears, any paranoia that's out there. Quality of life is directly tied into having appropriate representation, knowing who lives in these areas. Why people say, why is this part of town nicer than the this other part of town? It kind of is tied into these people are civically engaged. They participate in stuff like the census and local elections and statewide elections, and they get out and vote. While you have another part of town that's a little bit more alienated, a little bit more fearful, distrustful of elected officials, organizations. They totally absorb what it gets put out in the media. We're definitely combating what the current administration is doing at the federal level, and that's kind of our biggest obstacle is to get to these people and letting them know that the census is a safe thing to do. You don't have to worry about that they're gonna come and round you up, yourself and your family or your your neighbors, and letting them know that this is very important to determine the amount of money that's going to come into your community to help with the roads, to help with parks, to assist with the education of the children. If they don't participate, then they don't. They're the officials that they can't plan appropriately, and we get cut off, and we don't receive a lot of the money that should be coming into those communities.
In the third section that we wanted to cover, and we have about 7 minutes, we'd like that maybe Moises could help us look at the statistics that have been developed. Part of work is hard research and numbers. So what's going on in Tulare County that becomes statistical evidence that you might like to share with us?
So for every county, the census breaks down districts into tracts, and that it's basically a district, and they put a number to it that will signal how hard to count area it is. We're working in areas in census tracts that have a hard to count index of like 80, 90. It's very high up there, and how the census gets these numbers, it's a combination of a lot of statistics, like people on public assistance, households that don't speak English, and a big part of it that I've kind of learned is that internet connectivity. If there's areas that have low internet connectivity, and then they also want the very high bandwidth connectivity, where you have a lot of data coming in, so the Tulare County, it's estimated that 20 to 40% of the households don't have that high, bandwidth connectivity, and that's an issue for the census, because the census officials are really, they would prefer people to fill out the census electronically, this coming time, but because we're going to be working with communities that don't have that high connectivity, maybe don't speak the language, people that are don't have a high school diploma. I know in Visalia, they have a issue with vacant housing. So a lot of vacant housing, renters. That's another variable that goes into determining if it's a hard to count census tract. So for the Tulare, it's a rural county. The cities are very far apart. You have to drive. You have to have a transportation. But yeah, that's basically the obstacles we're facing in Tulare.
What about Lindsay? You mentioned that as another one of your points of research, I think, or statistics. What's going on in Little Lindsay? Yeah,
well, Lindsay has a hard to count index in the 90s, 93 and 98. So it's almost, it's very high up there, and that's gonna, it's along the same things. People that don't have a high school diploma, don't speak the language, are renters, don't have high broadband connectivity. These are the people that we have to. We're doing the advocacy work. We're gonna be canvassing. We're forming the neighborhood committees in those areas, or we're having or the chapters are engaging their vecinos in doing a lot of the advocacy.
What I want to promise, and it's almost like just agreeing to partner, because the diocese itself, beginning with Bishop's letter back in July, has formally committed to having this hard-to-count community counted for so many reasons. One of them just being human dignity, that every person counts. Right. So it's not only economic, it's it's a moral issue. It's very important. So any way that we could be helping with entrees into the parishes in Tulare County and in Kings County, we would want to be there. So, but we'll also figure you'll be the ones, maybe boots on the ground, but with an entree and a help from us. We've got like 2 minutes. We're at the point of conclusion, and maybe there's this final statements that you both want to make about things we didn't talk about yet or need to dig in on. So Fabián, what might be something you know we really want to say in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, well, I'm working in Visalia and Tulare. If anybody's interested to learn more about the Dolores Huerta Foundation, to learn about the census and the impact, to learn about civic engagement, to learn about civic pride, to learn what we could do to fix little big issues, they could reach out to 559-819-0088. I think a best way to do it is to definitely try to reach out to everyone that we can, especially the hard to count, because we understand that that is the Latino community, and I think we have the tools, and it's all about trying to reach out to anyone that we can, and we understand that it's through volunteers, people that live within the same community who understand the struggles, and having the tools. I mean, I think that religion is such a powerful tool, and I think with the help of this institution and our foundation, we could reach out to everyone.
One thing about the foundation, let's see if we could read off for the people what would be the way to be in touch, what would be the website, what would be the way to join, and the Facebook posting.
Yeah, so if they want to join, if, become a volunteer, you can go to joindhf.org to view more information about the foundation. You can go to doloreshuerta.org, and we're on Facebook with the Dolores Huerta Foundation. You could also find us on Instagram and on Twitter.
Well, I want to thank the two of you, Fabián and Moises, for not only hosting me the other day when I visited, but to connect already with a program. We will be wanting to keep in touch. We'll want to support you in your efforts. We're going to invite you in any way we can to be part of what is our Complete Count Committee. We meet on certain days. We'll be in touch. We also have a faith-based committee, which might be a way for you to find out where are some congregations that would be open for a visit from the Dolores Huerta Foundation. On that note, I say thank you both. Hope to have you back, and looking forward to see some other members of your staff the next time we have a show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.